If you're looking for a brand new piano sound to add to your library, or you're looking for your very first sampled piano, then the Golden Age Grand by Teletone Audio might be perfect for you. Hey everyone, my name is Robert Rodriguez, and I am a film and media composer and orchestrator. If you're new here, I want to invite you to like this video and subscribe to the channel. And I also want to give you my free composer's reference guide. It's going to cover the basics on how you can write for popular genres of film and television music. So if you are interested in that, check out the link in the description down below. So the Golden Age Grand is a piano library by Teletone Audio, and I think that the name really says it all. It is just a nostalgic, big ol' Yamaha Grand that I think really captures the warmth and the richness of that piano. I'm so excited to announce that I've actually partnered with Teletone Audio. They were generous enough to reach out and provide a copy of the Golden Age Grand just so I can review it for you guys. So if this is a library that you are interested in, you can check it out through the link down below, and make sure that you use the code ROBERT to save 15% off of your purchase. All right, so let's go through the website so that you can see what the Golden Age Grand is all about. It's gonna come up at $98, but again, if you use the code, you can save 15%. What I love right now, and we'll probably talk about this later on, is that it works with the free Contact player. That is going to be huge for a lot of you because you might not have the full version of Contact. So if you just get the player, you'll be able to use this library. So as we scroll down, we see that it is saying that it could be your new go-to piano library. It evokes the memory of the solo piano renaissance of the 1950s and 60s. Warm, rich, and impressionistic. It seems like this library can be used in a classical or modern sense, and it works on the free Contact player. You can use it through most major DAWs. Okay. It has 3 unique sample sets. One is a high fidelity pre-1975. It's characterful in and of itself. Then it'll have a tape option and a digital option as well, so slowed and time stretched. So before recording this video, I really wanted to know just who this library was for, what it does, and just the overall story behind it. And so I was able to get kind of the overview. I did see a walkthrough, but this is going to be my first time actually playing through the piano. So I am very excited. It has an interface walkthrough, which we'll touch on briefly. The presets, this is a fantastic just overview of all of the presets that they have. And the thing that really sticks out is that in addition to the default Golden Age Grand patch, there are 4 categories of presets: headphones, performances, recordings, and scores. The headphones category is designed with the lo-fi hip-hop, soul, R&B artists in mind. So if you're producing music, you can get your piano sounds from here. The performances category is going to offer you a recreation of captured and designed performances from the 1960s and 70s. Then you have your recordings category, which is going to be more pop oriented, 70s through today. Then you have your scores category, which are patches created with the taste inspired by both classic and modern film scores. So this is going to be a more cinematic sound. Then we have just an overview of their mic positions. We have 3. So you have your close mics, ribbon mics, and then room mics. And then we are going to have a nostalgia feature. So on top of the tape and digital options, it looks like we're going to have a nostalgia button. So I'm very excited to test that out. Yeah, and so it seems like this piano is just based on a story. It has a history behind it. It's not just created to be created as a piano library. We saw that it works with the free Contact player, and just some overall specs. $98, but again, you can get it for 15% off. Below are requirements, free Contact player, and it does work with the full version. You are going to need 18 gigs during the installation process, but the overall size is 7 gigs. So that's really a fairly small size in comparison to some other libraries out there. But I think you are going to get a pretty solid sound for that 7 gig download size. In order to download, you'll need to use the Pulse app, and then register that key with the native access app as well. And if we scroll a little bit more, we're going to see we get a 1.1 update where we're going to get an increased dynamic range as well as a quicker touch response. So that's actually really, really cool. So just make sure you download everything correctly through Pulse, and then register through native access. And then when you're ready, start up a new session. All right, so I opened up a new Logic session and I loaded in the Golden Age Grand and then the Golden Age Grand 1.1. So I do want to do a quick comparison of what the update sounds like in comparison to the original. So the default patch is coming up at around 159 megabytes. If we were to load in tape, it'll load in a brand new set of sounds, and then switching over to digital will load in another set of sounds. So you basically have the 3 unique sample sets. But you could also load in nostalgia and tape just to give it a different sound. So the nostalgia can work for any of the 3. We see the close mics, the ribbon, and the room. You can assign it for different outputs. You can adjust the noise, sustain pedal, reverb, the age, the wow. So this is going to give it more of like a warble effect, saturation, sensitivity, which I believe is like the dynamic range, and then mono versus stereo. So let's give it a try. I am not a piano player, but bear with me. All right. That is just like a lovely, lovely, lovely sound. And I think what I'm hearing is the warmth. It does not sound very, crystal clear in the higher frequency range, but that mid to low range is just like, ooh. You hear the rumble, you feel the warmth. The low end is very, very rich. I just am curious if I were to do an EQ or something. Yeah, so it's kind of giving you that middle focused EQ range. And that is what's making it very warm. What I think the 1.1 update is supposed to do is expand that dynamic range. And that's also another thing. Like, no matter how hard I hit, like, we have a few dynamic layers, but that's about as loud as it's going to get. If we were to go to, let's see how this goes, 1.1, everything is set up the same in terms of mics, in terms of knobs. Let's hear how that's going to sound. Much more present. You are going to hear everything much, much clearer. And let's hear the EQ. Oop, hello. Is it not coming out of the right place? Is that what it is? Yeah, so you're getting a little bit more around the 3K area, 4K. So we're hearing much more in terms of frequency. We definitely have more dynamic layers. Right? Much sharper, much clearer. So that is very, very nice. Let's, I guess, stick with the update. Noise. All right, so that's like the room floor. Sustain is just I don't know if you hear that. Maybe you need some headphones, but I'm, pressing the sustain pedal. Reverb. And you can see what type of reverb you want: live room, plate, scoring stage, hall, or cathedral. The age. So it really kind of focuses in. Kind of makes the piano sound a little bit more muted. It's a really nice sound. So I'll lower that. The wow. Oh, it's based on the age, I guess. My bad. Okay. That's the default wow. Then we have saturation. Yeah, so it kind of gets a little bit more like crunchy, distorted. So that's really nice. Sensitivity, this is going to be like your dynamics. If we lower sensitivity. And then raise it. If you raise the sensitivity knob, it's gonna kind of limit the velocity. So even if I hit this very softly, it's gonna sound like I'm hitting it pretty hard. If I do it lower like this, it's really gonna follow the velocity that I'm using. And then mono and stereo, to give it a really old-timey sound. Let's spread it out. Yep, much more of a wide sound. And so that's going to be the Golden Age interface. And it seems like this is what they're going to stick with throughout. Actually, I did forget. That was just the default. Let's go for tape. Yeah, running it through a tape machine is really giving it just this older, nostalgic vibe that I really like. Let's do tape and nostalgia. I think the nostalgia button really is what is giving it a defined character. Digital, you're going to get that time stretch, slowed sound. So that is just your default patch. You have plenty to work with. All right, so now I just want to quickly go through the 4 different categories that they have. There's going to be a lot of presets to go through, so I won't go through them all. I want to keep this video moving along. But if you are interested in hearing a real deep dive into the different presets, go over to Teletone Audio's YouTube channel. They have some great walkthroughs, overviews, preset performances. So it's really great. So let's first head on over to the headphones category. So right away we see about 10 or 11 different presets, and headphones is supposed to be for more like lo-fi R&B producing. So let's say pulse check. So close is down, ribbon and room are up, tape and digital are off. I think nostalgia is on. Noise, sustain, reverb, none, age with a little bit of wow, saturation all the way up, sensitivity in the middle, mono and stereo right in the middle. Ooh. Love that. Love that. So that is Pulse Check. Fantasizer. Ooh, much higher wow. I'm assuming this is probably fast or postcard. Really cool. And what I do love is that you can adjust the presets. There are some libraries out there where they'll kind of give you maybe very designed specific sound. So like if this is headphones that's designed for lo-fi piano, then they might not let you customize it that much. And I love that there are plenty of presets, but also you can just totally change it the way you see fit. Wear and tear. Ooh. You kind of get that buzz if you hold it down a little bit. Wow, I love that. It really gives this like crunchy, distorted sound. Of course, saturation's all the way up, so we know why. Nostalgia is on, so what if we turn that off? Oh, hello. So nostalgia kind of mutes it down a little bit. And this is just with a ribbon mic. If we were to... Very distorted. Let's take that off a little bit. All right, so let us move on to performances. So remember, this is going to be based off of different performances from the 50s, 60s, and 70s, so it seems. Video Arts International Telecast, 1977. Golden Variations from the 50s. TV concert on VHS. You hear the noise floor. Age. Oh, this totally reminds me of just listening on VHS. We got recordings. So these are going to be more like your pop, just modern piano a little bit, maybe studio piano. Felt heavy. Yep. All right. So the name definitely matches the sound. Just the softest touch you hear, kind of the felt piano, and it's a very heavy hit. Very nice. Let's go Piano Land 73. It takes out the low end. It's going to give you more of just like that 70s rock vibe. Just to make this a little bit quicker, let's finally go on to scores. Succession. We hear that warble a bit. Hyper light. What I'm really noticing with these presets is the amount of inspiration you can get just from a sound. Like you can just pick at random, and once you find something you like, I really liked Hyperlight. So that's kind of just like the preset side of things. You saw we have plenty of presets in each category, so the presets are fantastic. Love it. So the number one thing that you should be asking yourself is, how does something like this fit into my own library? I think that this library just has a huge range of character, and we see this from not only the default patch, but we have the 4 separate categories as well. I think with the inclusion of the 1.1 update, we have really expanded what this library can do. I do like that we have just more of a dynamic range with the update compared to the Golden Grand. Like I said, like we have the default patch and it's very customizable. It comes with the 3 different sample sounds, like default, tape, digital, on top of a nostalgia button, which really just gives it the character that you may or may not be looking for. So for me and how this fits into my own library, I do see this becoming one of my go-to pianos, really just because of the customization that you get out of all of these different presets. So a factor that's pretty huge for me and something I really want to convey for you is just, how does this piano suit beginners or just like new composers? I think there are 3 major aspects of why this piano library is going to be good for a beginner. The first thing is that it's under $100. So on the website, just right out of the box, it's going to be $98. But again, with my code, you're going to save 15% off of that price. I'm a really big believer in getting quality sounds on a budget, especially if you're a beginner. Like, I don't think that you need to drop a fortune on a really expensive library, especially if you're starting out. You don't exactly know what you need in your library just yet. There's so much you can learn just by understanding what you have. So if this is going to be your very first library, under $100, you really can't go wrong. You get quality sounds at a very reasonable price, especially for how much you get and how much you can customize. And so this is going to kind of lead into the next point. You don't need the full version of Kontakt to play a library like this. It runs on the full player. And that's a pretty big deal because the full version is $400, give or take. And again, back to the price of entry, if you're interested in this piano, but it needs the full version, then that $98 really became $498. And of course, there are other libraries that utilize the full version, so you will get your money's worth over time, but especially if you're beginning, especially if you're new to this, $400 is a lot of money to drop on a player, especially if there's a free one available and that's what you could start out with. So I really do love that it is easily accessible for anyone starting on just the free player. And then my third point is just the ease of use. This is something that's so important for anyone starting out, any new composer, because nothing should stand in the way of your creativity. The whole point of a sample library is to give you a way to write music into your computer, a more modern way of writing music. Your creativity and your inspiration is going to stumble and be blocked if you're running into a whole lot of technical problems. What I love about this kind of interface is that right out of the box, you have plenty of sounds to go off of. You don't necessarily need to tweak things if you don't want to, but Teletone Audio is gonna still give you that option if you choose to do so. So in terms of how this is gonna suit maybe a new composer, I think it is relatively affordable for a piano library. It's gonna run on the free Kontakt player, so you don't need to make that extra purchase, and it is easy to use. It is just a set of knobs and faders and like 2 or 3 buttons, and I think that is all you need to get started with a very dynamic and diverse piano. I will say that if you are expecting like the sound of a stage classical grand piano, you might find that in the preset, but like for the most part, the frequencies are gonna fall in the mid to low range, and that's where you're gonna get the warmth. That's where you're gonna get the richness of the sound. But 1.1, the 1.1 update does give us a bit more to work with in comparison to maybe the original, so I am super grateful for that. Again, if you have seen Teletone Audio's YouTube channel, they have a Muse video behind the Golden Age Grand. And the one thing that really stuck out to me was this idea of learning to listen. Like, that is such a powerful sentiment. This library has so many different quirks, so many different presets and sounds that if we just learn to listen to the sound of the piano, I think we can really appreciate what the character has to offer. Like, I just think it's so easy to go back and forth on why a library is better than one another, what makes one library great over another. We can compare the technical side of things all that we want, but for a new composer, for a beginner in this field, we really should not have to worry about that. Because if we start worrying about tweaking what knob and what sound comes out of what, there's a lot of exploration in that. But I also don't want to get drawn away from the creativity side of music to begin with. If we were to sit down at a grand piano itself and just start playing, there are no knobs to tweak. There are no patches to load in. It's just appreciating the sound of the piano. And I think that's what we get. We can tweak and customize the sound, which I love, but we can also just load in a patch and get a gorgeous, gorgeous sound as if we are sitting at a grand piano and not just a MIDI keyboard, right, in front of our computer. And it's that story, it's that attention to detail that drew me in, that made me excited to try out the Golden Age Grand. And I think that's what makes this library just so profound for me. All right, so that's gonna be it from me. Definitely check out the Golden Age Grand if you think that you could benefit from a library like this. If you haven't done so already, definitely check out the Teletone Audio YouTube channel. There you can see more of an in-depth walkthrough, more of a in-depth look at their presets. And if you are interested in this library, don't forget that you can use the code Robert to save 15% at checkout for the Golden Age Grand. So I hope you got some value out of today's video. If you did, definitely consider giving it a like and subscribing to the channel. You can also support the channel by heading over to my Patreon page or just by simply buying me a coffee. I really want to thank Teletone Audio for giving me the opportunity to check out the Golden Age Grand. I really am blown away by this library. So again, thank you very much. I will see you all in the next video, and as always, happy composing.